My entitled family wants to take my house and give it to my brother, even though they kicked me out. Chapter 1. A Painful Past. My name is Anna Thompson, and my family has always been a source of pain and frustration. Growing up, I always felt like the black sheep, never quite measuring up to my parents' expectations. My younger brother Max was the golden child, adored and doted on by everyone. I tried my best to earn their approval, but no matter what I did, it was never enough. It all came to a head when I turned 18. My parents kicked me out of the house, claiming I was a troublemaker and a burden. I had just graduated high school and was looking forward to starting college. But their decision shattered my dreams. With nowhere to go, I had to fend for myself, working multiple jobs to pay for my education and living expenses. Those years were tough, but they shaped me into the person I am today. I learned to be independent, resilient, and strong. Despite the odds, I graduated college with honors and landed a good job. I saved up and eventually bought a house, symbol of my hard work and perseverance. Chapter 2. The Unwelcome Visit. Life had been going well for me until one fateful day when my family came back into the picture. I was enjoying a quiet Saturday afternoon, reading a book in my cozy living room when the doorbell rang. I opened the door to find my parents standing there, looking older but still carrying the same judgmental expressions I remembered. "Anna, we need to talk," my mother said, pushing past me into the house. My father followed suit, leaving me no choice but to let them in. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. "What do you want?" "We've come to discuss a matter of great importance," my father said, sitting down on the couch. "It's about your brother, Max." My heart sank. I had a feeling I knew where this was going. "What about him?" "Max has fallen on hard times," my mother explained. "He lost his job and his apartment. He has nowhere to go." I felt a pang of sympathy for Max, but I couldn't ignore the anger simmering beneath the surface. "And what does that have to do with me?" "We think it would be best if you let Max move in here," my father said, as if it were the most logical solution in the world. I stared at them in disbelief. "You kicked me out of the house when I was 18. I had nowhere to go, and you didn't care. Now you want me to give up my home for Max? This is different," my mother insisted. "Max needs help, and families should support each other." Chapter 3. The Ultimatum. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. After everything they had put me through, they had the audacity to ask for my help now? My anger boiled over, and I couldn't hold back any longer. Families should support each other? Where was that support when I needed it? You kicked me out and left me to fend for myself. I worked hard for this house, and I'm not giving it up for Max. My parents exchanged a look, and I could see the disapproval in their eyes. "Anna, you're being unreasonable," my father said. "Max is your brother. You should want to help him." I shook my head, feeling a mix of anger and sadness. "I can't believe you're asking this of me. After everything, you still put Max first." "This isn't about favoritism," my mother said, tone sharp. "This is about doing the right thing." I stood my ground, refusing to be manipulated. "I'm not giving up my house. If Max needs help, he can find another way." My parents left in a huff, clearly unhappy with my decision. I felt a mix of emotions, anger, hurt, and a sense of betrayal that ran deep. I had built this life on my own, and I wasn't about to let them take it away from me. Chapter 4. The Pressure Mounts. Over the next few weeks, the pressure from my family intensified. They called and texted constantly, trying to guilt me into changing my mind. My aunts and uncles got involved, each one adding their voice to the chorus, demanding that I let Max move in. It was overwhelming and exhausting, but I stood firm in my decision. One evening, Max himself showed up at my doorstep. He looked worn down and defeated, a shadow of the confident, carefree brother I remembered. "Anna, can we talk?" he asked, his voice filled with desperation. I let him in, feeling a pang of sympathy despite my resolve. We sat down in the living room, and he began to tell me his story. He had lost his job due to downsizing and had struggled to find new employment. His savings had dwindled, and he had been forced to leave his apartment. "I know I messed up," Max said, voice cracking, "but I really need your help, Anna. I have nowhere else to go." I felt torn. Despite everything, Max was still my brother, and seeing him like this hurt. But I also couldn't forget the years of neglect and favoritism that had driven us apart. "I understand, Max," I said softly, "but I can't just give up my home. This house is all I have. It's a symbol of everything I've worked for." Max looked down, his shoulders slumping. "I get it, Anna. I really do. But I'm begging you, just until I get back on my feet." Chapter 5. A Tough Decision. Max's plea weighed heavily on my mind. I spent sleepless nights thinking about our past, family, and the situation we were in. Part of me wanted to help him, to be the bigger person and show my family that I wasn't the selfish, troublemaking daughter they thought I was. But another part of me was still hurt and angry. Why should I be the one to sacrifice everything I had worked for? Why should I put myself in a difficult position for a family that had never supported me? In the end, I decided to compromise. I offered to help Max financially, to support him in finding a new job and a place to live. But I made it clear that he couldn't move into my house. When I told Max about my decision, he was visibly disappointed, but grateful for the help. "Thank you, Anna," he said quietly. "I appreciate it. I'll pay you back as soon as I can." Chapter 6. The Fallout. My decision didn't sit well with my parents. They were furious that I hadn't given in to their demands. friends, and our relationship grew even more strained. They accused me of being selfish and ungrateful, turning my back on my family. But I stood my ground. I knew that I had made the right decision for myself, even if it meant alienating my family further. I focused on helping Max in other ways, using my resources and connections, help him get back on his feet. Slowly but surely, Max began to rebuild his life. He found a new job, a modest apartment, and started to regain his confidence. Despite everything, we grew closer, finding a new understanding and respect for each other. Chapter 7. Reconciliation. As time passed, my parents' anger began to fade. They saw how hard I was working to help Max and how much he appreciated my support. Gradually, they started to see me in a new light, recognizing my strength and resilience. Our relationship began to heal, though it was a slow and fragile process. We had many difficult conversations, airing out old grievances and finding ways to move forward. It wasn't easy, but it was a start. I also found healing within myself. I realized that my worth wasn't defined by my family's approval, but by my own strength and determination. I had built a life for myself, and no one could take that away from me. Chapter 8. Moving forward. With Max back on his feet and our family slowly healing, I felt a sense of peace that I hadn't known in years. I continued to focus on my career and personal growth, finding new passions and interests that brought me joy. I also found love. His name was Daniel. He was kind, understanding, and supportive. He knew about my complicated family history and stood by me through the ups and downs. With him, I found a sense of stability and happiness that I had never known before. Chapter 9. Embracing the future. As the years went by, I continued to build a life that I was proud of. I maintained a healthy balance between supporting my family and setting boundaries that protected my own well-being. Max and I remained close, our bond stronger than ever. My parents and I found a new level of understanding and respect. We didn't always see eye to eye, but we had learned to communicate and support each other in healthier ways. Our family wasn't perfect, but it was ours, and we were committed to making it work. Chapter 10. Reflecting on the journey. Looking back, I realized that the challenges I had faced had made me stronger and more resilient. I had learned to stand up for myself, set boundaries, and to prioritize my own well-being. I had also learned the importance of forgiveness and the power of love and support. My journey had been difficult, but it had also been filled with growth and healing. I had found my own strength and built a life that I was